You know, it's just like everybody wants to scale super fast, but sometimes that's not how it works, right? So
Right.
it's a transition. You have to do it appropriately.
What's up, everybody? It's Jamel Gibbs. Welcome to another podcast episode. Listen, this is the Business and Investing Podcast, where you learn all things real estate investing, business related, investing related on this podcast. And today we're going to talk about leadership. Now, one thing that my team and we do every single Monday, we have a level 10 call. And what that level 10 call is basically a leadership call. So I get all of the staff members who are a part of management on my team, and we all get together for about 30 minutes every single Monday to see how we can continue to push others in the business forward and create more profits in the business. This is super, super important when it comes to real estate investing or any business in general. And this is exactly why I wanted to invite our special guest on the line today. He's a very, very successful real estate investor in the Dallas, Texas market. He's killing it right now. In fact, I don't know if you know this, man, but I was watching you on TV about a week ago, a show called Married to Millions. My wife caught it on TV, and then she invited me over, and I said, "Oh, snap, that's my boy Donovan right there." So it was funny seeing you on TV, man, and seeing all of that stuff that you got going on. But it's pretty cool. But obviously, you're a successful real estate investor, man, and you've been in the business for quite some time, and you got a lot to share, man. So what's going on with you, bro?
Not much, man. Blessed to be on your podcast. I appreciate it.
Man, it's a real pleasure, bro. Looking forward to the content that we're going to talk about today. There's a lot of stuff that we're going to cover in regards to leadership and how that can drastically affect the success of any type of business, real estate related, but any business in general. So I'm looking forward to that, man. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, bro?
Yeah, so I'm Donovan. I grew up in a small town in Oregon, Ohio. It's outside of Toledo. It's like 45 minutes south of Detroit. I ended up moving to Texas about 10 years ago or 11 years ago now to Dallas. So I've been here, doing my thing. Finished up high school here actually, and got into sales pretty heavy. Ended up starting my own sales marketing company at 20. I was running that for a couple of years and then transitioned into real estate. So now we do a couple hundred deals all around Texas. And it's definitely been a journey to say the least, so learned a lot, did a lot, obviously made some money, helped a lot of people along the way. And, now I'm pretty blessed, I have a solid leadership team, that helped me significantly where I wouldn't have the success I would have without, other people helping me, so,
yeah, man.
Blessed.
Yeah, man. So on your Instagram profile, on your Clubhouse profile, it says that you basically did $7 million last year in real estate transactions, and obviously you can't do that by yourself. You need a team.
Yeah.
What I always tell people is for every one person on your team, you're probably going to end up doing about $300,000 to $500,000 per year. So each person on your team needs to bring in at least $300,000 to $500,000 per year on their own. So it takes a significant type of team in order to be able to do that, man. Today, I really wanted to focus on leadership, man, and leading your real estate team to success. And we have the perfect guy on the line to talk to you guys about this, primarily because he's already doing it, and we're going to talk about how important and why this is important for your business as well, man. So how did you end up in the real estate industry?
Yeah, so one of my buddies actually, he got started and he actually closed a wholesale deal, and his wholesale check was like $18,000, and I was astonished. I was like, man, that's more in one check than I ever made in my entire, ever in like a single check. So I was super inspired, and at that point, I don't know how you guys got started or what have you, but it hit different for me when I saw somebody that I personally know have some sort of success with it. So my belief level like skyrocketed when I got started. So super, super blessed to have that inspiration initially. So got started laying bandit signs, actually did a couple deals. And after that, or yeah, after I closed maybe 5 or 6 of them wholesale wise. And then I'm super prideful. I always like to capitalize on whatever ways I can. And I was like, man, I'm leaving money on the table by selling it to these cash investors and they're making all this money on the backside. I want to be in that game. So I got with one of the people I was selling to, and I was like, hey, look, man, I want to learn how to fix and flip, and I want to learn how to bring you value, and maybe we can partner on a couple of deals so you can show me the ropes. And it's kind of what we did. And I actually got access to private money. I had a taste of that. So essentially my business model for a long time was just raise a lot of private capital and buy a lot of properties from agents and wholesalers in my market. And obviously do, my miscellaneous marketing as well. So, and that was a little bit easier for me because I had a whole other company at the time. I didn't have a lot of time to, just be 100% real estate. So, my profit margins were obviously a little bit smaller just because, I wasn't involved in a lot of the, the business to consumer, business to seller, what have you. And, I was, turning volume like that and, doing, 5-10 deals every month. Or at least owning 5-10 deals every month consistently for a couple of years. And then it was like 2.5 years ago, I just made the decision because I just kind of felt like I was going, being in two industries and is very similar in a lot of ways, just because all wholesaling really is marketing and sales. And that was my entire business, in my other company. So I was like, man, this is crazy. So if I really want to, scale and grow to the next level, I have to make a sacrifice. And just pick one, and my marketing company was pretty dreadful. I had to travel a lot. I was gone, 2-3 weeks out of every month. I met a lot of people, seen a lot of places, had markets in all types of different areas in the country. But, future wise, I was like, man, real estate is, is going to pay the bills in the next 20 years. So I might as well just go full force. So I shut it down completely. And I know a lot of people out there are working jobs or what have you, or have another business and are kind of looking at it. Hey, how can I scale? How can I, make an impact on the world, or how can I do more? And sometimes when you make a decision to do more and you want more out of your life, you have to make sacrifices in order to get to the next level. And that's kind of the sacrifice I made, 2.5 years ago. When I made the decision to go full-time real estate. And, here we are, we close a couple hundred deals a year, have a, pretty solid team. We do deals literally all over the state of Texas, just here doing my thing.
Cool, man. Let me ask you this, man, because this is super important for people listening. So you had a marketing company already. You understood marketing. Explain to everyone listening how important marketing is as a wholesale real estate investor or a real estate investor in general. Because I tell people this all the time, but it's good for them to hear it from somebody else.
Yeah. So, I mean, man, there's so many people out there that, aspire to be, millionaire moguls or, even in any business. And there's two things that they lack. They just lack belief, for one, and for two, they lack the ability to reinvest into themselves. And for three, they lack the ability to reinvest into their business. And I understood that, being in sales and marketing already is just, we have to reinvest into the structure. We have to reinvest into the company because then we can scale, we can do more numbers. But the reality of it is, marketing is extremely important. It's like 50-50. When it comes to wholesaling, it's like, 50% of it is marketing. The other 50% is sales. So, I mean, if you're really good at one or the other, you have to find that balance in order to find traction to continue to grow. But the reality when it comes to marketing, if you're not doing any marketing, it's going to be really hard for you to find consistent deal flow, for one. And for two, it's going to be impossible for you to scale if you don't plan on spending more on marketing. It's just the reality of the game. Because when you spend more on marketing, you have more prospects to talk to. Everything's a numbers game, right? So the more prospects you have to talk to, the better consistency you get with the deal flow. It's just how it relates.
You basically allow yourself more opportunities to get more sellers on the phone, to talk to more people, to make more offers, which ultimately leads to more money in your pockets. That's what I want people to understand. That's what this business is all about. You're a marketer first, a problem solver second, and then a real estate investor last. If you can understand that concept, you'll make a lot of money in this business. Yep. So Donovan, man, most people look at the real estate niche and they think they have to hire right away. How long did it take for you to get your first hire?
Man, it took in real estate alone, it took maybe 4 years before I, brought somebody in internally. I was trying to do everything myself, and it was, being an investor, want to make the most money net profit, right? So I just thought it was the best angle to just be by myself. And then it kind of got to a point where I was like, it was really hard for me to, I was like on a plateau for a couple of years. I was just doing the same numbers over and over consistently. And, what I kind of realized was I can only do so much by myself. I only have so much time in the day. I only have so much creativity. I only have so much ability to solve problems by myself. And then I realized, learning from business experience in my other company, I was like, man, we have a solid team here. Maybe I can translate some of that and bring some internal members on in real estate. I just didn't really know how to situate it for a long time. So that's why I was kind of doing it by myself. But yeah, I mean, it made a significant difference when I started bringing people on, just because, you're leveraging not just your time, but you're leveraging other people's time as well. So, the human time is the most valuable thing on planet Earth, just because we're not going to get it back, So
That's right.
Yeah.
And a good thing about real estate, you can leverage other people's money, OPM,
Yep.
but also what people fail to realize is you should leverage other people's time, OPT, as well. Right. So,
Yep.
It took me, and I'm just kind of throwing myself under the bus right now, man. I started in the business in '02. It took me maybe 8 years before I started thinking about hiring people. I was
Yep.
straight pounding the streets, grinding, and I realized that I could get so much more done if I multiply myself, man. So the good thing is you picked it up. It took you 4 years, but you picked it up relatively quickly. Who was your first hire?
My first hire was acquisition person. It kind of got to a point, I was just constantly reinvesting into marketing, and I was losing money because I couldn't, I'd call somebody back and they signed with somebody else, So then I realized, I was like, man, I need to bring somebody on and, continue to scale the marketing so they have an opportunity, and, it worked out.
Yeah, man. So at this point, you've hired your first person. What type of numbers were you doing around that? And I'm getting somewhere with this, but what type of revenue were you bringing in between you and your first hire?
Just me by myself. I mean, I was doing a lot of rehab, so I had a $1 million company. So I was doing about 100,000 a month by myself, and I thought it was great. Money's great. I was like, what do I need to hire somebody for? And then it just got kind of to a point where it's just the quality of life. It's just you get to a point, where you can make money all day long, but the reality is, like, what's the quality of your life and the lifestyle you live, or and things of that nature. And my mental health, I just kind of felt, decreasing a little bit. So once I brought the second hire on, he was doing about 50,000 a month by himself. So just me and him together, my company grew, 50% just with one person, and then it was just like an eye opener, it's like, that's what I did, but that didn't work, and learned some things and that nature. But yeah.
Cool, man. So when you look at the growth, how long did it take? How many employees do you have right now?
So we have 11 right now.
All right. So how long did it take for you to go from the one hire? You hired a bunch, then that didn't work out. To stabilize your business and to be able to get from one person that was generating income over to 11, how long did that take?
Well, I mean, the big thing that, because I know if I tell you that, it's just going to be like, oh, it's just people are going to try to do it and it's not going to work. But the reality of it is the marketing has to be there. So I'm talking to internal people, like people in office, in person. I'm not talking VAs, right? Just because I've had, VAs outsourced for a while, but I don't see them as team members. I see them as like marketing and overhead costs, right? So the team members that I see is like in person. So I had, multiple VAs working, and then, once the leads started coming in, then I hired my first acquisition person. And then after I hired that first acquisition person, it was maybe, 3 or 4 months before I made a decision to bring somebody else in, just because I wanted to make sure that the marketing was stabilized in order to have that opportunity for somebody to have a full-time job. So it took maybe 3 or 4 months. Hired my second acquisition. You said what?
To get to 11 people?
Oh, to 11 people? No, it took maybe 2.5 years.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah, because I went from, me by myself to one person, right? 3 months later, I had 2 people, and then immediately hired a disposition person. And, I just hit momentum, man. And I think it was about a year and some months, and I had 40 full-time people in the office, literally. And it was like full-time staff in office employees, teammates. And I just didn't have the leadership ability to handle all that. But on top of that, the ROI just didn't make sense. So I just, set a goal as like, hey, these people are going to have better opportunities somewhere else. And, I want to stick to, the top people. So instead of just hiring everybody, I focused on hiring sharp people that are smarter than me, people that work really hard, et cetera, and got really picky on it. So now we have just about 11 people now. So.
And some of them are VAs, or you have 11 in the office at this point?
No, 11 in office. VAs.
Okay, and then you still have VAs. Yeah. Gotcha, man. Yeah.
So I don't see VAs as like teammates.
Right.
To be honest, I know a lot of people do, and it's great in their business, but I guess my business is a little bit different.
Gotcha, man. So let's talk a little bit about this, man. What were some of the obstacles that you faced? You mentioned that you hired 40 people full time at one point. What caused that drastic change to decrease the team members?
Yeah. So, I mean, the reality of it was just, like for one, marketing, right? So I was spending a bunch of money on marketing, but I wasn't spending enough. And I was really evaluating, even when I had one person, is like, how much did it cost for just to hire this one person? And it was somewhere between $6,000 to $7,000 a month just in marketing to employ one full-time person. And I realized, I was like, man, 40 times $7,000 is not going to work out, because then I got to pay commissions and salaries, et cetera, et cetera. So I thought I could just make it work. Was just like, all you guys are just going to follow up with everybody, go knock on doors if you have to. Everybody wants to do real estate, so everybody wanted to come work. But it just didn't work because the marketing wasn't there. The second thing was I didn't have the proper leadership team of people that had the experience in my organization. So we had a bunch of people, we had sharp people, but the problem is we didn't have the proper leadership structure. What we thought was leaders wasn't really leaders, and the strength of the training and the mentorship and the organization didn't withstand the amount of people that we had. And I mean, that was pretty much the two things that didn't work for me. And I just had to regroup. I was like, it's just like everybody wants to scale super fast, but sometimes that's not how it works, right? So it's a transition. You have to do it appropriately. But I definitely learned a lot. I was like, man, this is crazy. Like, now I know I need to have lieutenants. I need to have captains of specific divisions in my company before I can continue to bring other people on, just because people are trusting us with their whole careers. And our reputation and brand is on the case as well. So that's when we kind of restructure. It's like, hey, let's just focus on a few people versus a lot of people, and the energy that we're able to give them and the value we're able to give them is a lot more efficient, just because we're building that foundation of the leadership team.
Yeah, man. So just thinking about that for a second, you mentioned having the right structure in place. If we had to, let's go through this step by step, right? And let's use you as the example, right? If we had to provide our listeners with a step-by-step process on how to hire the right way, how to lead the team the right way, how did you get started? What worked for you? How did you find the first person? How did you pick that person out in order to be able to tell this is the person that is a good leader and this can help my business? Like, what was that process like?
So my first hire was actually opposite. I wanted somebody that I could trust. The main thing that I wanted in my team at the time was somebody that I could trust, because it was new to me. I didn't want somebody to come in and take advantage of me because I was spending a bunch of money. So I was thinking of somebody I could trust, and somebody that had work ethic, and somebody that was loyal, right? Where regardless of what happened, they're going to stick through and figure it out, right? So the first hire was actually a friend of mine, and the friend I've known for a couple of years, and I think he was, what was he doing before? He was working at like Rite Aid or CVS or something like that. I knew, there's certain traits that work in salespeople, but I knew he was, competitive. I knew he was a people person. he liked to party and stuff like that. So I knew he could at least talk to people on the phone and at least divvy them up to me if I needed to. So that was kind of my first hire, but that's just talking from experience. But what works now is we're very specific when we hire people, and the type of people that we hire are PI or DIs. So they're dominant and intellectual. So they're really aggressive. They're competitive. They'll die to win or die before they lose. And people that like to talk to people that are outgoing, that are expressive, that have, good connections with people. Those two traits, they work great in sales.
So you're running personality tests on them?
No, not necessarily. I should, but people can finesse those systems. You know what I mean? So sure. The main things that I kind of look for is, did they play sports? Even if they didn't play sports, like what kind of competitive nature, personality can I pick out of this person? Right? Do they what do you call it? Did they? I'm just going to tell you straight up. So when I look to hire people, I look to see if they played sports. I look to see if they grew up in a country town, small town, or an immigrant. I look for people that had single parent backgrounds. I look for people that were able to maintain a job for at least 2 years. And I'm young, and the majority of people that work for me are young too. So if you had a job for 2 years between 18 and, however they are now, it's like 24 or 26 or whatever. That's huge. I mean, it's non-negotiable. Or somebody that actually has a job and they've had the same job for at least 2 years. And I will never, ever hire somebody that didn't work as a teenager, that didn't learn how to, were able to, learn how to make income as a teenager. And what I learned was, after hiring, hundreds of people over the past, 8-9 years, is people's brains are still developing when they're teenagers. So if they learn how to, make income and being able to be a little bit financially stable without their parents, they're a lot more coachable, and they're a lot more independent. So, I mean, that's a huge life hack that I've learned. And literally, I can go on a graph and name all the people that I hired and who worked what as a teenager. And it's crazy. It's literally a scientific fact in my business that people that didn't work as a teenager don't work out in sales. It just won't happen.
Yeah, man. Are you paying by the hour when they come on board, or is it straight commission?
So I pay salary for the first 90 days, and then I pay draw commission after that 90 days. Got you.
So salary, then draw commission after the fact. Cool, man. So when it comes to leading your team, how do you know who's the right person to put in place to start leading certain positions?
Great question. So the main thing that I look for is people that want it more than you do. And that's like the main thing that I pay attention to, is somebody that is hungrier than me, somebody that's going to work harder than me, somebody that cares about my business more than I do. And that person, regardless of their leadership ability, is going to make the biggest impact in your organization because they actually care. They care about it more than you. And that person knows how to play team. They care about the team, and they want other people to win. I've learned, I've promoted people that were like my top salesperson or whatever, and they just weren't good leaders. They're just good salespeople. But then I've promoted people that, were, average or medium salespeople, but turned out to be amazing leaders. And what I've learned was, it was just the attribute of the belief in the business, the belief in themselves, and the belief in other people makes the biggest difference in leaders.
And then they believe in the core values of the business and what the business represents at the same time as well, man. Exactly. So you learned a lot of this by experimenting and by actually being in the business, doing it.
Yeah, just doing it.
A book can teach you some of this, but it's not gonna. There's nothing like actually doing. That's what I tell people about real estate all the time. It's different when you're watching a video. Like you see me on a video, you see Donovan on a video, or you listen to us on Clubhouse or something like that, versus actually experiencing it. You have to get out there and roll up your sleeves and get dirty, because if you don't, it's never going to happen. Yep. Information is great, but implementation is going to get you to where you need to go at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So if we had to simplify it down for our listeners right now, and we wanted to provide them with, let's say, a 3-step process to get their first hire, what should they do?
Man, first hire. Now obviously every org is different, but a majority of them, you need lead flow. That's the first thing that you got to master. 8 to 12 leads minimum every single day on average. Without that, you can't hire anybody. You can't even hire yourself. You can't go full time by yourself without 8 to 12 leads a day. It's impossible, unless you have money stacked up and you're making strategic investments. So how are you going to hire somebody if they can't work a full-time position, right? You're just going to be wasting money. A lot of people want to hire somebody and then figure out how to get the lead flow. They're doing it backwards. You need the lead flow. The second thing that you got to do is you got to lead from the front. So you have to have that ability to get in the business and do it yourself. The reason why that is extremely important is because if you hire somebody and they come in and they don't see success, it's going to be really hard for them to grow past that or believe in what's actually happened. It's kind of like monkey see, monkey do, but it's a lot easier when somebody comes into a business and it's already winning, right? So if you're clearing money already, it's an inspiration, and just kind of like how I got started, right? So the belief level is so much higher when I saw somebody I personally knew do it versus, just watching YouTube videos and stuff like that. Right. Marketing, do it yourself first, so you got to elevate to delegate, right? And then the third thing is you have to make a commitment to that person, just because if you hire somebody and you just figure that they're just going to go figure out by themselves, it's not going to happen. You have to train that person. You have to go through battles with that person. But the coolest thing is by doing step number 2, you're going to learn a lot of things. You're going to learn how to overcome objections. You're going to learn all the aspects of the business so you can translate what you've learned to the third step, which is, that training. The training is so important, because if they don't have the proper training, then, they're going to, come in and waste a bunch of money or what have you.
Absolutely, man. Well said, brother. So, let me ask you this. So marketing, how much funds do you think a person should be investing in marketing on the front end to drive enough leads to be able to hire their first person?
I mean, to be honest, it's just, it's kind of a broad question just because each market is different. So I started in Dallas, Fort Worth, which is an extremely competitive market. It's like an A market. For example, Memphis is like a C or D market where, the cost per lead or cost per deal is like a third of what it costs in Dallas. But the reality of it is you need to, if you want to look at the general aspects of, income coming in, I would say anywhere from $80,000 to $100,000 a month is a general guideline to go by, because people in Cali, for example, that's like 1 or 2 deals, but here in Texas, you have to do like 5 or 6, right? You know what I mean? So it's just different by the market. So, I pay, our cost, per deal right now is on average like $2,400 or $2,500.
Gotcha.
On average per deal. So for me to hire acquisition person, that person needs to close minimum 3 deals a month. But obviously, on average it's like 5, but 3 times $2,500 is what? It's like $7,500.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, man. Like for us, and that, are you making at least 25 offers to get that, or like how many offers are you making in order to get that one deal?
Man, to be honest, we don't track offers.
No,
no, we don't track offers. What we track is like leads per contract. So the average leads per contract is about 75 right now. So it takes us about 75 leads to contract one.
Got you. Yeah, it takes us, in my market, it takes us 25. That's what I was going to say. Yep. And then if you're a little more experienced, like for us, we do more creative stuff. That number decreases drastically. That's because good. We have more exit strategies. But yeah, you're in a very competitive market, so it is different. And I love the fact that you mentioned that the marketing budget really depends on where you're located, because too many people get caught up on thinking that they have to spend what this next guy is spending. That's exactly why I brought it up. Yep. Too many people think that they have to invest the same amount as the other guy in order to get the same result, where in actuality, it really depends on where you're located at the end of the day. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And then on top of that too, man, it's just like I spend more money to do less work, right? So especially when people are getting started, like for example, I have students that have, their cost per deal is like $1,200 or something like that, which is amazing. $700. That's absolutely stellar. But the difference is, they're going through the nitty gritty stuff and have to do a lot of manual labor to be able to get it that cheap. I'm in a position now where I'm able to spend more on the marketing to just kind of streamline a lot of those processes and some of the time consuming tasks to make it a little bit easier.
Absolutely, man. Now we've spoken about leadership a lot on this call. We've given you guys a kind of a step-by-step process to at least go in the right direction, because most people watching this, they're not in a position to hire their first person. They're just getting their business up and running. It's a fact, right? But then we do have that small few that are in a position where they're doing a couple of deals at this point and they need to start hiring people. And now is probably the time to really start considering that. So you guys have gotten a little bit of a look inside Donovan's business and how he's operating things, just to give you a general idea of what you need to be looking out for in your business as well. Now, are you guys doing daily meetings?
Yeah, I mean, like a quick tip, like for example, like a lot of people, they look to, they have a lot of work, they have a couple deals coming in and they're looking to hire somebody, right? So what I made the mistake is like, I'm just going to hire a bunch of people right away instead of outsourcing a lot of those problems, right? So it's actually cheaper for me to outsource, cold calling, lead manager, outside of my office to a call center or call agencies or something. And then, just focused on the core acquisition team. So that made a big difference too. So you can look at your organization right now and look at the tasks that you're doing, and you can actually find ways to outsource a lot of that to VAs to help you scale. And then, when you have somebody else come in, it's going to be a lot more efficient for them as well. So you might see it as like, hey, my net profits are, decreasing a little bit because I'm outsourcing it, but the reality of it is you're being more efficient with your time. That's what the most important thing is.
That's right, man. So are you guys doing weekly are you doing daily meetings, weekly meetings? Like how are you operating? And the reason I say that is because we do daily meetings. For example, we have Monday leadership calls, Tuesday acquisitions, Wednesday dispositions, Thursday marketing, Friday admin stuff. Right. So how are you guys, how are you keeping track of your entire team at the moment?
Yeah, so we have 3 meetings a week. We have a sales meeting on Monday, sales motivation, call it Money Mondays. Wednesday is actually our leadership meeting. So the entire team's not involved in that meeting. It's only the core leadership team. And then on Fridays, it's another a group meeting. And then it's just like KPIs and numbers and stuff like that and motivation. Just so they go through the weekends, kind of unwind, come back to work excited, do the money meeting, and then hammer it out through the week. So in the position I'm in now, I actually made the decision a couple months ago to stop attending the meetings. I mean, to be honest, I only go to the office now. My office is like 20 minutes away, but I only go to the office now maybe, once or twice a week, just because, the leaders in my organization, I felt I was solving a lot of the problems in the office, and it was kind of hurting their ability to grow and have them solve those issues. And it's been great, so now it's crazy. So it's just like, it's amazing what can happen when you have, solid people on your team and they can just elevate to solve a lot of those tasks. So, they handle the meetings now. I pop in here and there and make sure everything's operating and running smooth, stuff like that. So, yeah.
So you basically removed yourself in order to grow, man. And that's what it's all about. Hey, man, obviously we can't cover everything in a short podcast session, man. And I'm sure our listeners would definitely want to reach out to you and contact you for more information, man. How can they do that?
Yeah. Follow me on IG. I actually just got my IG back after getting deleted, but it's the Donovan Ruffin. Follow me on IG or Facebook. And yeah, I mean, contact. That's the easiest way to contact me is Instagram, to be honest.
Sounds good, man. I'm going to link your Instagram in the description, but I'm also going to link your Clubhouse as well, man, because you spend some time on there as well. We've shared a couple of rooms and we plan on sharing a lot more in the future as well, man. But I'm going to link all your social media in the description box below. So if you guys got any questions in regards to, leading your real estate team or growing your real estate team, why don't we go to Clubhouse to ask those questions to Donovan first?
Yep, that works too.
Because I know how Instagram is, man. We were just talking about how a lot of people
I gotta hire somebody to work my Instagram.
Seriously, man, I just can't. There's way too many people hitting me up on Instagram. I just can't. It's impossible for me to get in contact with everybody. So,
well, I mean, to be honest, I just felt like, I mean, we buy a lot from wholesalers, so it's great for branding and stuff like that. But I just pay attention to mostly just because we get a lot of deals from it. So
yeah,
if you got deals, shoot them to me on IG, especially if they're in Texas.
Absolutely, man. So what advice would you give to our listeners that are just getting started with growing their team and they want to take their business to the next level?
The first advice is you got to make a commitment to your business, because when you go to hire somebody, it's a different level of sales, right? So you go from business to consumer to business to person, or business to business essentially. So the time frame on cash in the bank on your work abilities is going to change from like 30 days to 90 to 120 days. So just got to be patient with people, but you also have to take the risk on people and make sure they have the proper training. Things don't happen when you want them to happen. Things happen when they're supposed to happen. You learning the aspects of the business so you can eventually teach somebody else how to do it. So a lot of people want to skip a lot of steps, but the reality is God's not going to allow you to elevate until you figure out how to, take care of things on the ground level, just so other people can handle those tasks. I mean, that's just the reality of business. It's just business law. So just be patient, keep going. Look forward to those look forward to those mistakes that you're going to make, and learn how to adapt very quickly, so you can elevate quickly. Excellent
advice, man. I couldn't have said it better myself. We really appreciate having you on. We look forward to having you again sometime in the near future, man, if you're up to it. And listen, guys, if you got any questions for Donovan, leave a question in the comment section below this video. If you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're listening to this on a podcast, be sure to reach out to Donovan. Again, we spent some time on Clubhouse. We answer a lot of questions, and we're looking forward to helping you go from where you are right now to where you want to go in your business. But the only way to get there is to know what you want and then take action to get it. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Peace.